it doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, sorry, I forgot to add myself to the stream, guys. But I'm not gonna repeat that introduction again since I've already wasting a bit of time. But the labor theory of value was created by Adam Smith and David Ricardo. Then Karl Marx created his own theory called the socially necessary labor time, which is the surplus value one. But it's commonly been.
Again, the original idea of surplus value was introduced by Ricardo. So even they thought, of this concept that, money was being siphoned from the workers and being used to reinvest back into capital.
Okay.
Because libertarianism was originally a left-leaning theory.
Yeah.
But obviously, I don't think the classical economists could have seen the flaws in how this, form of bourgeois capitalism worked. But yeah.
Okay. Could you maybe explain how Marx is, one is different from Ricardo's, even though they both agree with the surplus value part? Maybe just as a small introduction.
All I know is that they originally postulated the theory.
Okay.
I'm not aware of the differences of how Smith, Ricardo, and Marx originally explained the theory.
Okay.
But all I know is that this general concept was present in classical economics.
Okay. All right. I guess I have a similar understanding. I guess my strength in this topic is more the logic of it rather than its historical context and who defined what. But the reason I titled my video as "The Labor Theory of Value," even though it may have been accurate at the time, is because I was responding to a TikToker who himself pretty much titled it as "The Labor Theory of Value."
Yeah, if you're making a piece of content that focuses specifically on, say, value being siphoned from you, that's probably going to involve the idea of surplus value extraction and not the labor theory of value, because the latter specifically postulates that labor time is what determines the prices of commodities.
Yeah,
it's probably a mistake on their part. So definitely.
Yeah, I definitely agree as well. Yes, so I guess we can start the official debate. So do you want to maybe do small intro arguments explaining our ideas, or just I don't know, maybe I say something and you respond to that, or vice versa?
Yeah, sure. I don't think I'll take long to explain both of these concepts, or whichever one you want to debate. So, the labor theory of value, as I believe it was postulated by the classical economists, and as I know was postulated by Marx, basically contends that prices of commodities set by the aggregate amount of socially necessary labor time to produce that commodity. So, the longer we have invested labor into a commodity, the higher it will be priced.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of surplus value extraction is that, since we believe that labor begets value, created value, the difference between what was invested, how much it was paid for at the point of purchase, siphoned away from the worker, which, since labor begets value, we believe the worker is entitled to. That's it.
Okay, yeah. So, I guess, you could make maybe another argument, or maybe I guess I could make the argument that I made in my video, which I think you want to respond to. But my main crux with the surplus value is this idea that I guess employers extract, that the profit that employers get, that is the quote unquote surplus value, which they didn't earn. I guess that's somewhat roughly the argument. And even though the workers has created that, well, that's the argument, that the workers created the whole entire revenue and like the cost, the take when you take away the wages and I guess like other costs, but like particularly the wages, what remains is unearned like profit for like the rich person. And my main problem with that is that, and I believe, while the workers may not get a certain like amount of profit, since profit can like vary from like low to extremely high, and workers may not get that, in exchange for like not being able to get, for workers to not be able to get that high profit potentially, they have wage stability, while employers or the investors, they don't have profit stability. They aren't guaranteed a profit, and I guess we'll probably elaborate more on this, or if you could if you want to respond now. But due to wage contracts, workers are like guaranteed a age, while employers aren't. I could go into the stats now if you want, or if you want to respond now.
Okay, so I felt like you were a bit all over the place with that. So, would you like to focus on profit instability and wage stability,
Okay,
or the idea of constant capital, and that being the capitalist's investment?
Okay, so let's.
Which one would you like to talk about?
Okay, wage instability and profit. Well, actually, wage stability and profit instability. So, when you look at a business, in terms of like how, let's see, all right, in terms of the probability of business failure, of it, of the business closing down, within 5 years, 49% of businesses would be closed. Small businesses would be closed within 1 year. 20% of small businesses would be closed, and after 10 years, only 66% of businesses would close. So already there's a significant like business risk, and another thing after what? Okay, so it takes, assuming that a business is still able to like survive after that. On average, it takes 3 years for a business to be profitable. Of course, that will depend on the certain industry like or sector, but that's the average. So if you're like a business owner, or a capitalist that is so called like extracting surplus value, you aren't guaranteed a profit, and the statistics suggest that it's pretty risky, and that you will gain pretty like big losses as well.
Okay, I feel like you're making a lot of arguments at once.
Okay.
So I take it your main objection to the idea of surplus value extraction, that business is a risk, and wage workers aren't guaranteed or are guaranteed a wage.
Yeah, that wage workers are guaranteed a wage, while business owners aren't guaranteed a profit.
No. Okay, so by guaranteed a wage, you just said that most small businesses fail within a few years. I mean, that only makes my argument for me, because a worker is going to be without a job once the business fails, and I wouldn't consider that being guaranteed a wage, because if your employer's profit margins are really unstable to the point where more than likely their business is gonna collapse in a few years, that is not stable employment, my friend. Like, when you're jobless, you're destitute, obviously you need unemployment benefits, and you're scrambling to find a job as fast as you can to, bread. So, obviously, like, businesses going out in a few years, I feel like that makes my point of wage instability for me.
Okay, well, pretty much like, well, as you grow, you get more employees, but like, one of like, there are multiple factors for why a business fails, not knowing like the demand conditions, and also probably not being able to get enough like workers in time. So maybe, when like at the end of the year, like or within 5 years when a business fails within 5 years, or within 1 year where the first year like 20% fails, or within 5 years 50% fails. Pretty much they'll probably have a few employees, and like most, I'm pretty sure most workers are in like bigger companies, where those companies by that time have managed to like survive through those long periods of you know unstable like failure. They could still fail, but like afterwards, over the years, like there's diminishing returns to like the probability of failure. But like
Yeah,
the starting period of say maybe the first like 5-10 years, that's where a lot of the profit instability like really starts, and where I guess you'll have much less employees. But like after those longer periods of like profit instability, you'll be more capable of like employing like workers and providing them with more stable wages.
again, like I see how this makes my very point for me. Because if you're saying that since most small businesses aren't even going to get to the point where their profits are stable, that they're making a positive cash flow, that not only implies instability for the capitalist, it implies instability for the worker as well. Because if your employer, the person who is not only paying your salary, but typically who's giving you health care, dental care, paid time off, all this depends on the profitability of that small business, of that firm specifically. And even though, yes, I do agree that business is a risky, business, and this also spells like some sort of risk for the worker and not just the entrepreneur, because if you're a wage worker at a small business, that's your living. That's, they're your wages or your salary. And typically, because insurance is tied to work here in the US, that's your livelihood because there's no inelastic demand for healthcare. Obviously, this spells a risk for the entrepreneur, but it also does for the worker. So let's see how this is, surplus value extraction. Like, does this have to do much with surplus value extraction and more to do with like the risk of starting a business in and of itself? Because both sides, both proletariat and bourgeois, share the risk in a business.
Okay, so yeah, all right. I'll first like respond more to like how the workers like wage stability depends on the business profit stability. The reason there it isn't as big of a correlation is because most businesses, unlike workers, use like debt to finance their businesses, and particularly 70% of small businesses have outstanding debt. And so when workers get paid, they won't get like paid the profits, but they'll often get paid the loans from the bank, and which the business owner had to like finance. They'll also have to use that bank loan to like temporarily finance the cost of operations, as well as like workers. Let's see, what else did you say? You said like how workers
Okay.
wage stability depends on like profit stability. Then you said a few other things. I think I may have forgot.
I made some points about how healthcare and dental,
Okay.
in the US specifically, I don't know if it's the case for other countries, but in the US specifically, is tied to work. How if you are unemployed, then you'll have to not only find a new job that fits your working conditions and that'll hire you, but that's a good enough healthcare plan for you going into the future in terms of your life.
Okay. All right. So I think I remember kind of another point you made, but like on the healthcare like point, I'm pretty sure like FDR like regulated like in your country to make it so that like businesses would have to like provide like health insurance to like employees, is so that eventually creates sort of a dependence on like work for, well, although that I guess that's a direct. Indirectly you could still like pay it like afterwards, but like again, like most like big companies like employ like these workers where they have the majority of like employment. The smaller businesses where they have much smaller like workers, they're the ones like at most risk. And all of these big companies originally were those small businesses. So those big companies like had a big like significant like risk period which they managed to get out of, and like the high profits is the compensation for getting out of that like big risk period, which a lot of like workers didn't manage to go through that like risk environment. And I guess a summary of that point is that yes, the worker has risks, but like the business owner has much bigger, uh, a significantly much bigger risk, and uh, this like justifies their like higher profits. Like I think surplus, and I don't think like yeah. Oh yeah. So the surplus value thing, how that connects, how I connected that to business risk. It all involves like find the cost of like financing through like capital machinery as well as using resources, because there are the four factors of the labor protection.
I feel like you're all over the place here.
Fair enough.
So
I'm saying a lot.
yeah, okay. So you're going on off about like how the FDA. I feel like we've trailed so far off the original discussion to the point where I think we desperately need to like wrap it back into the original debate. So I would like you to justify. So your main point is that since businesses take on the risk, their extraction of surplus value is justified. You're making an appeal to the capitalist investing the constant capital.
Pretty much. I'd argue that that surplus value is an accumulation of that capital investment which the worker didn't take, with combination of the risk factor.
Well, no, labor does beget the value of constant capital.
Yeah, it contributes to that, but the laborer often doesn't, contribute to like the investor buying the capital machinery as well as buying the land, aka the resources.
Well, okay, no, it absolutely does. So let's say it's the first quarter of new businesses, like startup.
Yeah.
They're going on a new venture. So they'll obviously have to take out some form of a loan to finance this.
Yeah.
And what loans are, at least when the principal and interest are both paid back, is, then realized labor, then realized surplus value, which, interest is a form of surplus value extraction. Basically, if I loan an amount of money to you, I expect you to pay it back. That is essentially unrealized labor.
Yeah.
To finance what you need now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marx patently addressed how the value of constant capital is begotten by labor. A capitalist taking surplus value and then reinvesting that back into machinery needed to produce commodities, the essential items needed to produce commodities, and constant capital contributes to the value of commodities.
Yeah.
The laborer has begotten the value of constant capital. Do you disagree with this?
Kind of. I agree, laborer, but you seem to use one laborer when, as you said, like the whole bank loan that involves labor value, but that work involves the value of other laborers, not in that aren't the employees.
Yeah. We're just talking about the laborers in general. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We're generally positing that laborers are owed surplus value. So yeah, take the laborers as a collective. Yes.
I guess that surplus value is the vast majority, like excluding like resources, is the accumulation of labor value, since you need labor to build the machines, and like a lot of like labor time represents like a bank loan. So yeah, I guess I agree with that.
Oh, okay. So if you agree that loans are value, well, okay, say we haven't paid back the principal and interest yet, and we're just working with the cash now.
Yeah.
You obviously agree that is yet to be realized labor time. Now, do you agree that labor does beget the value of constant capital reinvested back into production of commodities? Do you agree that labor begets constant capital's value?
I mean, I guess, like of include, yeah, I guess like other people's like labor outside of the business as well as labor in the business. Sure, yeah.
Okay. So I believe that because labor begets the value of constant capital, and obviously the value of labor is realized via variable capital. I think because labor is truly the only producer of value, that I think we should generally cooperatize firms and, well, okay, I don't want to turn this into a cooperative debate, but on general principle, the laborer is owed that surplus value because they're getting the value of everything.
Yeah, this is interesting. You say that when you focus on supply, since I think you said yourself in like response videos to both Uber Soy and maybe just that facts that you focused a lot on like use value.
All of the worst neoliberals. Don't be like them, okay?
I'll be honest with you. You're in, Uber Soy's like labor theory of value. Like I wasn't like that happy with like some of his points. Maybe a few of them might make sense, but I prefer he used my point of like profit and wage and of profit instability, since with in combination with that point, then like that would have video would have made sense. And I guess you were kind of right that like Uber Soy, I don't know, didn't like completely like respond to like surplus value. Like the video could have been better, but like yeah, I think your main gripe with this, which I agreed with, is that like he didn't mention like how like for like the whole surplus value thing to matter, that you need a use value, which Karl Marx himself like stated, like, and uh yeah and that basically like debunks the whole like straw man of like laborers using like digging ditches. So hence, due to the use value, which I believe is a synonym for like useful demand of like goods and services, sure, there's like labor value which needs to be compensated, which is the producing of like us the supply of our economy. But you also need the demand to like you need the brains to figure out how to how a resource or a product is useful. Like if you like you're gonna hate this, but like this is but like if you dig a bunch of ditches and but get a bunch of mud and sell that mud, that's obviously useless. You need the brains to figure out what like demand is useful, and that level of brains, and that also needs to be compensated, as well as the lab, the labor used to make that useful product.
Um. Okay, so in this hypothetical, is the brainstormer the person with the brain and the person figuring out how will utilize demand to their interest? Are they getting paid for the amount of time that they're brainstorming about this?
Maybe, but it's also a bit of an analogy to the investor who tries to figure out whether or not certain resources or goods and services are useful in the economy, and if they manage to figure out the right good or service due to
yeah, so are they getting paid by the hour or via a salary to plan this out? Like, are they working?
Yeah, I guess brainstorming could be the one of the like maybe managers who might function as more of a normal laborer, or like the investor who figures out through like accurate through market conditions that like the product that they're investing in is a useful venture for the economy. So it's
well, for the purposes of this discussion, truly doesn't matter whether they're a manager or they're an investor or like a board person. Are they working at the firm?
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think they are owed surplus value. I think the value should be compensated to them in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, so if you believe,
like my point here is brain power and conceptualizing how to use demand is labor, so long as you're getting paid for it.
Okay. Well, then I guess my next argument would be, wouldn't like the capitalist quote unquote extracting that like surplus value not be actually surplus value because they use their labor time to figure out what to like invest, and that profit is a representation of maybe to some extent of them like successfully finding a product or and a relevant like market to like you know sell that product.
Well, I'll ask the exact same question. Do they work at the firm?
Yeah, but well, actually, this well, some investors might work at the firm, some might actually. Okay, I think I see what you mean. Like some investors might be directly connected to firm. Some might not. Maybe they're a lot more like far away. Like maybe they're all they do is just like invest in the firm, but don't come into like the workplace to check on things. I might have an idea of why you're asking this question, but like, why are you asking this question?
So, what's your point? Seemed like to state things there, but like, what are you challenging me
on? It's more I'm trying to like figure out the disagreement. Well, I think well I'm kind of all over the place, so this is getting a bit like confusing the whole discussion. But I'll try and make a new claim. I think by your own logic that you don't agree with the theory of surplus value because you believe that investors and the employers do have like have labor value due to the whole brainstorming point, and so deserve like compensation via that profit. Do you disagree? That I guess that's my point.
So obviously, we think they should be paid proportional to their labor time.
Okay.
Okay, so for instance, obviously, I'm pretty sure Jeff Bezos works at Amazon. I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's not just some lousy investor sitting around somewhere doing absolutely nothing. I'm pretty sure still to this day he's on the board of directors and making decisions.
Yeah.
So I think you'll have to like give me some time to pull up this article.
That's fine.
I believe that Jeff Bezos's stock like went up hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Obviously, he's eventually going to have to, realize that to get the cash.
Yeah.
But if we were to grant that he's going to cash out one day,
yeah,
are you really telling me that he worked 1,000 times harder than the average minimum wage worker? Obviously, Marxists think workers should be paid proportional to their labor time. And that's the general conception of it.
Okay, well, I think we have a more of a saying that sometimes, like it's not how you work, but it's not like work hard, it's work smart. And like I guess again, I'll point you to even though I think you hate this like analogy because like you basically argued it was a misrepresentation of Karl Marx, and I think I kind of agree. But like the whole like digging ditches, that's not a very useful demand, even though you work pretty hard. But if you use your like brains to like do some like accounting work, that might not be as hardworking, but it has a lot more value to the economy. It's has use more use value. So like wages aren't just like about like hard work. Like hard work is a correlation, but like the supply and demand, like how useful is your labor, that's a much more significant correlation to how much you're paid.
No, obviously labor time begets the value of commodities.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely make the argument that because of the ingenuity of some people on the board of directors that created record-breaking profits this quarter. Well, okay, I truly think that workers most important apparatus of a firm, because you have good ideas but you have no workers. How are those ideas going to come to manifest? So that's my philosophy of why workers are the most important cog in the machine.
Yeah, I do think workers and labor is an important part, but I believe that they're properly like compensated through our like system anyway, and that I guess there is one like honestly is that supply and demand may not the laws of supply and demand may not actually be that fair. Like you might work really hard, but like your product might not be useful or and yes I but yeah I guess yeah, yeah I guess that's about it. Like yeah I guess maybe sorry for like all this time like stuttering and like stuff. It takes me really long to like think of a point.
Okay, so your main point is that you can work really hard, and that doesn't necessarily beget value on a market.
Yeah.
I never really understood this concept
Okay.
because so long as we're talking about capitalists paying workers, capitalist, their main object is to rake in as much profits as possible. And why would they invest in something that's not going to produce a return, that they know isn't going to produce a return? It just doesn't make sense. That's why the mud pie argument falls apart, and that's why Ubersoy's stupid point about the statue falls apart.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. Most people when they hear like what's the logical point of like investors actually investing something that's probable, but most people don't know what's actually going to be like profitable. Like sure maybe 20 years ago, like for us like in hindsight like Bezos investing in a company where they like transport like by packaging like all of like goods and services they can sell online in that seemed like a good idea to us. And but 20 years ago it may have been a good idea in theory, but like we didn't know if that would actually like work in practice. That was the risk. We didn't know what there may be like good ideas on paper, but we didn't know if those ideas would like be like properly enacted, whether those ideas were realistic, whether they could actually happen. And and um and in fact even sometimes a good idea that not only looks good on paper but also looks like an idea that is realistic and can like work properly, sometimes those ideas turned out to actually be a bad decision, and like there's a big loss to that. So yeah, that's and hence one of the reasons why like there's a high level of business loss, because it turns out like
Okay, again, this is the risk argument.
yeah.
Like, the non-profitability of a firm is reflected in the workers' general life stability and employment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to choose a high salary job at a really high risk firm that offers me both healthcare, dental, PTO. So obviously there's the FDA thing, but that's besides the point of this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I've not read on that at all. So obviously my firm's downfall is going to reflect in my financial downfall because I won't have much of a salary. So during the time I'm employed, I'm not paying into FICA. I don't have stuff to invest in my 401k. My insurance plan isn't paid for by my employer, and I don't have paid time off. So obviously, any risk that young startup has in terms of its business is also reflected onto the employed, the worker. So this is again like with this whole okay, well we don't know exactly what the profits of the firm are going to be. Like I can make the same argument for the worker.
Well, for the worker, you still have like wage contracts often negotiated like before like hiring. But I guess I agree that like workers do like if a business fails, both the like employer and the worker will have less of a like have more of a problem like stability wise, but like workers can still find a job, and while employers can still find a business. Remember when I talked about the debt point, a lot of businesses are financed by debt. Those employers still need to pay off that debt as well as find a new means of like finding an income, while the worker just needs to find a new means of getting an income.
Debt is another form of surplus value extraction because the banker is getting the interest back, which is surplus value. Yes.
Well, the interest is a loss in like labor time. No, sorry, not loss in labor time. I mean a loss in like not having that money for a certain period of time.
All business is a loss of money for a certain period of time. That's what we call an investment. Happens all the time.
Yeah, but the bank like loans the money, and the bank loans the money, and they maybe if they loan it for like 3 years, they won't have that money to use for 3 years. So to be compensated for that, they charge interest on it. And another thing, there isn't as much of a guarantee for that like loan to be paid back, let alone the interest. So yeah,
there's obviously no guarantee in business, but this affects entrepreneurs as well as employers, and employers as well as entrepreneurs. So, okay, say I'm a really young bank, and we're talking about debt because it's another form of surplus value extraction. So I think this is a really good avenue for us to go down. I'm a young bank.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loaning you a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no guarantee that you're going to pay back the principal and interest, but your credit is a bit on the shady side. And where was I going with this? Your credit is a bit on the shady side. I'm taking a risk, and you're taking the risk, because eventually, inevitably, unless you declare bankruptcy, you're going to have to pay that interest back. And if you do declare bankruptcy, and I end up not getting that interest back, and it's just a waste of money, then, obviously, I suffer, and those who I employ suffer, Like, I feel like we all suffer from business risk, entrepreneurs and employers.
True, but we also like benefit from business risk when that like business manages to get profitable, manages to make higher quality products. So it's a bit of both. Like I guess I was mostly focusing on like the risk for the most of the debate, that we actually forgot about like the downsides of the upsides of businesses creating and investment and such.
But the thing with profitability is labor begets profit, begets the value of constant capital, and the variable capital and constant capital siphoned into making a commodity. That commodity producing surplus value at the point of sale is the product of labor.
Yes, and that labor is compensated, whether like paying back the loan, whether through wages, or like maybe like paying like I don't know, like some company that has like certain like resources to give to another business that uses it as a cost of production, like I don't know, maybe metal or I'm blanking, but I think we can like all think of like costs of like normal costs of production for a business.
Guess your point here is a risk argument again, or
my point is that the labor time is properly compensated.
Properly compensated. By variable capital, by wages?
Both variable capital, but also, you mentioned, say like the capital such as like carbon machinery, the labor used to like create that wasn't like the like business was involved in that, but like the business paid, the people who made that like capital machinery, and yeah, I mean, the business maybe paid another business that created that capital machinery, and that like compensates, the workers.
Which is created via labor. Obviously, if you have resources to make a commodity, you're not putting in effort, you're not exerting effort, and you're not putting in labor time to make that commodity. You have the components of a commodity, but not that finally finished commodity in and of itself. So obviously, the component of labor absolutely needs to be there. Realize what a commodity is and to sell it in order to generate surplus value. You understand this, correct?
Yes, but also, brain power, again, which actually you argue is basically like, labor time.
If you're getting paid to brainstorm, that's labor.
Yeah. But like, again, I agree that through like wages, they are like compensated.
No, okay. So basically, workers are creating the value of constant capital and the value of variable capital, which is inevitably invested back into them. Workers create surplus value, but are not compensated that. Like, do you see a problem with this?
No, I think like, well, I think, I don't think they create like surplus value. Actually, yeah, no, I don't think they create surplus value at all. Like, all like that so-called like surplus value, that's the accumulation of like, both the worker and like the employer, maybe the investor, and I guess even like resources, as such as like that. But no, I don't
again,
agree.
that's been falsified, because labor begets the value of its own wages and the value of constant capital, the machinery needed to produce commodities. So it's creating all this labor, but only gets compensated a mere fraction of that. Like, you still don't see a problem with this?
Oh, okay. I think I'm going to say something that I think will help you understand what I'm trying to say. From like what you've been telling me, from your own logic, I think from your own logic, the employer and the investor would both be counted as workers. The capitalists would also be counted as workers.
Well, the thing is, they're getting paid also, on top of their wages, the quarterly dividend, which is a disproportionate amount of labor put into it. So, okay. Obviously, if a capitalist is working, that capitalist is paid the form of wages, money. Also, they get to reap the quarterly dividend or the buyback, or whichever method of shareholder payment that specific firm uses. Obviously, they have wages, but they have the quarterly dividend, the surplus value generated by labor, which most of the workers, unless they ubiquitously apply stock options, most of the workers don't get the surplus value. They don't get that quarterly dividend.
Okay, but like for like quarterly dividend, it will depend on like the business. Some businesses like not as much like small ones may be able to like give out dividends, but some won't. Like the bigger companies, they'll definitely be able to like give out like dividends. But like again, the like capitalist at they at some point, like a lot of them were not guaranteed like a wage, because of like the business survivability. But those other like workers who worked there, they were guaranteed a wage. Sorry. And
no, again, the non-profitability of the company reflects onto employees also. So if the firm isn't profitable for 4 quarters in a row, you can pretty much guarantee that I'm going to get fired if I work there. And then I'll have to go job searching again, be temporarily unemployed for a while, and adjust to a new healthcare plan.
again, a lot of companies are in debt, even the big ones, and they can still like finance themselves through like debt, through loans.
Okay, in this circumstance, okay, so virtually, it almost ubiquitously, firms don't make a profit 4 quarters in a row. You can pretty much guarantee that most of the employees are going to get laid off and have to completely adjust to their new circumstances. Because if your argument is risk,
maybe not in a year, but like in a few years,
takes
sure.
That. Employees take that too.
Well, actually, more the I guess I guess it depends. Like if like maybe a whole year, maybe a few years. It depends like how like maybe the people at the top or like maybe shareholders want to like do this or like how market conditions are. If they sometimes they may close the business down. Sometimes they may shrink the business, or sometimes they may like restructure it. So again, it even depends on like what like the people like that the CEO is like what that the CEO is like answerable to like decide. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it depends on like a lot of things, and again, they can still like finance themselves like long term. Like
with a new business venture, we all take risks.
Yeah, but some
that's
people
my general
take.
point here. Because I assume you're talking about startups when you talk about businesses initially not making a profit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So the wage stability of employees is affected by startups as well. It's really risky for them too.
Okay.
Agree, right?
But like, all right. So for like startups, they have like very little chance of like profitability, but like a a very like high chance of like failing. But like as you go up like the company, you'll have a much lower chance of failing, but you'd still might have like low profitability. Yeah, and so like the workers, and that's where like most like workers are like employed. So like it's what was I trying to say? So that big company, they could still be funded by loans. Maybe they have like higher revenue, maybe they have higher market share or like high brand loyalty, which helps like to convince like investors to keep investing or for the banks to keep giving them loans. And yeah, but like the CEOs, they or actually maybe the investors, they don't have a guaranteed like, well, actually CEOs, they'd probably have a more of a guaranteed like wage, but like the investors, they still don't have like a guaranteed like return on their investment.
Yeah, okay. Again, like if your argument is risk here, the CEO doesn't have a guaranteed return on their investment, that's also reflective of the workers' general wage stability. Because chances are, if a firm isn't profitable for about 4 quarters, and more than likely, most of its employees, even essential employees, are going to get fired because the firm can't sustain paying them.
Well, if they
like, my point here is that we all bear the brunt of risk in startups. And again, I don't see what this has to do with like surplus value extraction. My general thesis here is my dissertation, because labor begets the value of constant capital, variable capital, and creates surplus value because the socially abstract necessarily labor time exerted into it. And I believe workers should be compensated that surplus value. But what's your general objection to this?
Well, I think I've honestly like said a bunch of my general objections, and you've responded to them, and like I think we've just been going on a circle. So yeah, I'm not sure what else we could add to this, since both have like said our argument to each other, but neither are like changing our mind. I don't know, maybe like I don't know, maybe like we could like maybe do another thing on this, so maybe we could like look at this, like both of us could like look at the stream like a second time, and then try and maybe understand like better, and then okay, yeah, who knows, because
I do have to go at 3 p.m. which is 4 minutes from now.
Yeah,
But,
I was thinking of
even
going as well.
Smith said this,
Hmm.
because his conception of this was that, okay, well, labor is begetting the value of commodities, and obviously a profit, surplus value, is generated from those commodities, so the workers should be paid that. I think you revere Smith as, a foundational economist, but
Well, I do have
I
his
guess you don't
profile.
disagree. I guess you don't agree with all he has to say. But
Yeah, I don't
that's
agree
okay.
with all he has to say. Yeah, I have disagreements, but I do respect him. But I guess yeah, I guess we're like for the most part done. Thanks for well, like asking for a debate. Yeah, I guess like for the whole it was the debate was pretty like respectful. Like
Yes,
other
yes.
than me like stuttering like 24/7.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
This could have gone so much worse.
Agreed.
Because I had a debate with, I'm pretty sure he's DGGer, called Proletariat Brainlet, and
Okay.
he was probably the worst person I have ever debated. It's not that he was like ad hominem or anything, but he just wouldn't contend with what I was saying.
Okay.
We eventually ended up going in circles, but at least you gave an argument.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. Also, I guess I think you just like challenged Prax Ben to a debate, which I guess I respect. He seems to be like one of the like smarter people there, and I think I don't know. I know he's like debated people before, so I guess like good luck in like getting that debate request.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you. Is there anything you have to add before we go?
I don't know. I guess not much. I was thinking. I don't know. Maybe we could like I don't know. Maybe talk about each other's channels, but like I think I'm pretty sure you confirmed this that you found out by watching my video, but out of curiosity, like how did you like manage to like know me? Like, did you happen
Well,
to
I was just looking through
the algorithm?
videos on the topic of
Okay.
surplus value extraction, because that's what a bit of my content has been focusing on lately.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just stumbled across your video. So
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So yeah. Thanks for like coming on and I guess I'll end this Discord call now.
yeah. Well, one more thing. I would
course.
like to plug my Twitter, and from there,
Oh yeah, of
you
course.
can go to my YouTube. My Twitter is at free386hacker,
Yeah.
lowercase, and from there you can go to my YouTube. For those of you in the audience, but
yeah,
thank you to Double T for having me for this.
Yeah, I'll post. I just posted the comment. Also, do you want to like say my name as well? Yeah. Do you want to say thank you to my name, if you can pronounce it somehow?
Thank you, Theron.
You did better than most. Actually, I can't blame you for like. It's Taran Thiraseelan, but like for some reason my parents put TH at the start, so I can't blame anyone for mispronouncing that. Yeah, and also yeah, well, yeah. So I guess yeah, thanks for like coming, and yeah, maybe we could do this again, but like yeah, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so that was quite that was quite like a debate, but we managed to like finish it. It was quite cordial. Oh yeah, and also I guess I'll thank you Daniel Lassender for some of the comments. So I'll read them right now. Companies hire workers because they can earn money from the work that worker puts into the machinery and tools he needs to do his job. Yeah, I guess this is like this would have been one of my main points, but then he responded with that like the capital like machinery and investment is a representation of labor time. I probably would have said something like say there's this one worker and there are like these two businesses with different like machines. A worker like goes to one machine and like it produces a certain like what produces a certain product that is of a higher value than another machine, which that um that if the worker like gone there to like produce for that company. So oh, oh fudge. Yeah. Yeah, this is my problem, like stuttering. It's actually one of the reasons why I ask other people to like join me in stream to like hide that I stutter so much. Yeah, what else? Yeah, so back to that point. So the worker like the work in one scenario, like with one business produces a higher value of a product than another, but that higher value is not accountable to with the same to the workers like labor, since the worker produce like the same amount of work. The scenario makes a lot more sense. Like I haven't like prepared it properly. Yeah, that it's always better to prepare for like debates, but like I wasn't exactly sure what the parameters were for like this debate. Let's see. All right. Next for like Lassender's comment. Secondly, the worker chooses to get the job because it pays him more than what he could earn working for himself. Oh yeah, this is the trader's principle. Yeah, yeah. I could have maybe used this one. No, Adam Smith was talking about it. Drogba mentioned the trader's principle. The trader's principle, I guess, I'll try and explain it in the way like Adam Smith did. It's when like maybe people that have two people are exchanging a good or service. One is a producer who has produced an excess of like one good or service. Maybe it's, I don't know, sausages, but because they're so skilled and good at like producing that like labor, they're able to produce large quantities of like sausages to the point that they have not only have they satisfied the need for like sausages, but like they have so much that they have that extra like they have a large excess of sausages that they have no need for. And there's a another guy who has a like another product, like I guess same sort of deal, like let's say bananas, like has an excess of that, and has already satisfied the banana needs, but like has an excess of like bananas that they can trade with since they have no use for, or both trade a banana and a sausage, well whatever like quantity of excess bananas and sausages, and they both like leave the exchange happier because they uh, the banana producer doesn't have that like an excess of sausages, so they will value the sausage more, while the sausage producer doesn't have an excess of bananas, so they'll value the banana more. So yeah, I'm explaining a lot for each comment. All right, you need both capital and labor to create value. You need both the baker and the oven and the tools and the space needed to produce bread to get any bread created. Or yeah, factors of production. Although he'd counter that, Free would counter that with like there was labor created to create the oven and also labor to create the tools. Um, yeah, all right. So you don't get any bread if the person and providing the capital won't get anything in return. Yeah, I basically gave his Twitter out, and I guess I could like, this is just the facts. Was his channel like, yeah, when I try and click his like Twitter profile, and then I try and click his channel link, for some reason it doesn't come up like that. Even though he does have like a channel, so yeah, I'll link that like channel, and I'll link his channel, yeah, but he has like interesting videos, whether I agree with it or not. He does have some like interesting like videos. Who knows, maybe I'll respond to him, maybe he'll respond to me, and yeah, thanks for coming through. yeah, and yeah, he was pretty nice, like coming on and like you know requesting a debate. I actually boosted my ego a little bit, but yeah, no, I wonder if I could ask some of my buddies to like come. They probably haven't seen the debate. Yeah, I guess I'll text some of my guys. Just debated the lefty on stream now. I'll send that to ad hoc as well. Just debated the lefty on stream now. Yeah, I also was debating him on like Discord. So yeah, I guess I'm hoping you guys could like hear it properly. Like you know because it's one like software like and you're hearing it from another software. So yeah, hopefully you guys didn't like. Hopefully the stream isn't like me just like talking to like a brick wall like that. Hopefully that isn't like your view. Uh, right. Yeah, but I did like have a like debate before um yeah, it was with a like another lefty yeah, I might end the stream now, but since oh like if everyone like came for like the debate, I guess I'm just gonna like check how many views this has. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay, 5 views. Yeah, yeah. My live streams have like kind of like going like downhill in terms of views. I guess that's kind of my hope fault. I haven't been like posting much, or but yeah, I guess I'll be doing a bit of shilling. So yeah, I guess I've been doing this a lot, but like I've been trying to like advertise my like Sam Seder like fails subreddit. It has like five members I think. I plan on like actually like streaming like but yeah, I'm actually gonna stream maybe on like Monday, like with a response to like Dennis Prager. I mean to like Sam Seder's like Dennis Prager video. Well, I'm really boring. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll share my screen even though like most of you aren't even here right now. So why aren't you sharing? Okay, good. Share system audio. Okay, got it. Okay, it turns out I can click on like these. Oh yeah, okay. I guess I can click on like these comments. That's good to know. I guess hide. No, 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 no. No. Okay. Yeah, why? Yeah, this is like Free Hackers channel. If for some reason a lot of you are still like, right. Actually, I know that like no one's basically like here right now. I can see the views, but like if you're curious, like here's my Sam said like fails video. Even like people that are like not uh like actually like Sam said, you guys can also post like but like doing like Sam said like defenses. Yeah, this is a Sam said critique. Yeah. Um. Yeah, so like anyone that posted something, that's just me. Yeah, but I'm hoping to like post more on like the Sam Seda stuff. But yeah, again, like thank you to like everyone for watching, and yeah, and also thank you to Free Hacker for like requesting the debate. I had a bit of fun, and some like decent experience. So I guess yeah, thanks to everyone for watching, and see you later.